So, first of all, 4 verse 1, where I'm from, we're playing prison rules now, guys. I wasn't ready for that. I may not be a collegiate athlete, but I am a Greek Week All-Star and an intramural champion, and also I beat the guy that intercepted Jameis Winston in washers. So
Always be closing.
that's right, always be closing. Look at the bottom of the shoe. Mr. and Mrs. Schmidt, thank you so much for a wonderful night. You guys have done great. We really appreciate it. Ma'am. Thank you so much. Mrs. Schmidt told me, she said, just remember this is a toast, not a roast. So I will do the exact opposite of that tonight. Thank you for the warning, and I'm leaving right after this. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Seth Feldman. Brandon and I are cousins. Our moms are sisters. We're 6 years apart. Brandon will often talk about his cousin Teddy. Just so you know, we can finally say it tonight. Teddy is Brandon's imaginary friend. He does not exist, but I can tell you unequivocally, my name is Seth, spelled with an S-E-T-H. So we'll go ahead and remember that, guys. Sweet. So, Brandon Quinn is a kind, motivated, intelligent, and mature man. For most of you sitting here, you see the man I've described wearing an Armani suit and Hugo Boss shoes. He looks great, with a blossoming career in medical sales. But it wasn't always this way, guys. Over the course of the next 45 to 55 minutes, I'd like to tell you a few stories about the progression of Brandon Quinn. Brandon was born on a chilly 87-degree night in January in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were all so excited to have another boy join this family, utterly dominated by women. It's no coincidence that Brandon was born on Super Bowl Sunday, as Brandon and his dad, my Uncle Richard, love all things sports, especially LSU. All things LSU, football, basketball, and baseball related. They went to every single game. And they even watched the LSU Tigers win the 2003 National Championship at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. They beat Notre Dame, I think, the year before. Was it? I don't remember. Oh, and by the way, these guys promised me, despite multiple requests, is anybody singing a song that I need to be prepared for? So.
My bad, Teddy.
Thanks. From a very early age, Brandon was your typical boy. He loved New Kids on the Block, Michael Jackson, and hot air balloons, like most little boys do. Growing up, he loved all the dogs in the family. He loved Bitsy, Moki, Bailey, and Buddy. But for some reason, he really hated frogs. Brandon would scavenge the backyard in the middle of thunderstorms and fill up an aquarium with 40, 50, 60 frogs. Those frogs would have met their maker if it was not for my brother, Chris, Brandon's tyrant, his godfather, who would set them free. Chris was in a very save the whales, kill your television, everybody eat granola phase of his life. It was awesome. When Chris would set those frogs free, he would send Brandon in a thumb-sucking sprint to his bed where he'd fall asleep still covered in frog pee. But Brandon also has a past with snakes. Brandon and I once threw a brick at a water moccasin when I was 12 and Brandon was sick. The snake jumped at us, and we both ran to our bed sucking our thumbs, this time covered in our own pee. But as Brandon got older, his love for sports further developed, as he was coached by his father. But it wasn't just sports where Brandon started to develop. Once, on a fishing trip, Brandon asked my brother and I, he said, hey guys, listen, I know what it is, but just tell me, please, what's a Woody? And so, Brandon, I am so excited that tonight you will finally find out what a Woody is. Brandon, remember, on your wedding night, I gave you a Woody. Boom! I didn't even have to sing a song. But speaking of Woody, played by Tom Hanks in the 1995 blockbuster Toy Story, Brandon and I also saw Forrest Gump together, where he proceeded to cry on my shoulder the entire movie. I don't know exactly what part made Brandon cry, but Mary Grace, to quote Forrest, Brandon may not be a smart man, but he knows what love is. Most people here only know the Brandon with sophisticated palate that only consumes specialty cocktails and an assortment of grilled meats from Houston's in Seasons 32. But the rest of us know the Brandon who has never cut a piece of meat by himself. Aunt Donna, let me see these hands. Please put your hands in the air for everybody. These hands single-handedly cut every piece of meat that Brandon ate until he was 25. Brandon literally has not seen a piece of chicken that was not cut into bite-sized pieces. You all also see the Brandon that fasts for 16 hours a day to keep that athletic prowess. I only know the Brandon that keeps that body fueled by Mickey Mouse pancakes. With chocolate chips. You also know the Brandon that orders $100 king cakes to be overnighted from New Orleans anytime he gets the hankering. But I only see the Brandon that eats disgusting cookies from the grocery store and cannot go to bed without enjoying a blend with his dad. And just so you guys know, a blend is a scoop of ice cream with milk poured over it and a frozen mug. During and after college, Brandon's love for soccer was never more apparent. He coached his high school, local club teams, and camps. Brandon also played for the Baton Rouge Capitals. For those of you that don't know who the Baton Rouge Capitals are, they're in the USL Premier Development League, the fourth tier of the American soccer pyramid, in the Mid-South Division of the Southern Conference. His fame and notoriety as the third-string goalie was more of a curse than a blessing, where he was hounded for autographs all over town. After hanging up his cleats, it was no surprise that Brandon gravitated to a profession in coaching. Few things would have made my Uncle Richard as proud as Brandon and his graduate position at LSU, even though it was girls' soccer. Sorry. I didn't even know it was a thing until recently.
That's right.
I'm serious. No, I'm sure it's important somewhere.
That's right.
After LSU, Brandon became the goalkeepers coach at the University of South Alabama, followed by a position at Rice University in Houston, where he lived close to his Pyran, which is great because growing up in Houston and Louisiana, we got to see Brandon much more being in Houston. But while at Rice, one of Brandon's fellow coaches told him about a girl that she used to coach at Texas A&M, who she thought Brandon would really like. This story was spoiled a little bit earlier, and when they said, hey, do you want the Schmitz to go first, I made a great mistake. By a chance introduction at a tournament where Brandon was coaching a girl, or was scouting a girl named Margaret, is where they met. From what I understand, the chemistry was palpable. Because what is more romantic than talking to a girl's mom about soccer. Weeks later, Brandon got Mary Grace's number and they began texting and talking on the phone. Around this time was when Brandon started shedding his mesh shorts and Third Eye Blind t-shirts for clothes picked out solely by his personal stylist. Personal stylist. When Brandon told me about this cute soccer player from Orange County, I was thrilled. I live here in Orange County with my wife and 2 kids, and the thought of any girl that would bring him here, I was ecstatic about, even though she was an Aggie. But the beginning of the relationship didn't start off too smooth. Brandon asked Mary on a date, and she said, yeah, I'd love to in a few months when I come back from visiting my sister. So, he and I both decided at that time that this was just clearly going to go nowhere. But despite all odds, it did. Around this time, Brandon made the smartest career decision of his life. He moved literally to the other side of the country from Mary Grace and took a job getting paid nothing at Duke. Literally nothing. But while Brandon was coaching for free and Mary Grace was coaching for money, at Pepperdine the relationship hit its stride. What was seemingly out of the blue, Brandon called me and said that he was going to move to California to be with Mary Grace, and I could not have been more happy. I asked, hey, are you going to coach? What are you planning on doing? He said, no, you know what, I think I want to do what you do. So, being the good cousin that I am, I helped Brandon try to get into medical sales. Did I do some things I wasn't proud of? Yes. But sometimes that's what you do for family. Even when your family needs help passing a personality test. But now, here we are, a few years down the road. Brandon has launched himself into a brand new career where he started at the very bottom, and just last month won Rookie of the Year honors at a very, very big player in the field. Today, all the stories I've told have helped mold the man that you see before you. A hardworking career, motivated professional, a genuine, kind, and giving man, the godfather to my daughter Coralie, despite the fact that she's terrified of his beard, and most importantly, as of today, a loving husband. Mary Grace, thank you for playing the part that you have played in the development of this wonderful person that you married. Your father-in-law would be so incredibly proud to call you his daughter, and nothing would have made him more proud than you carrying his name. Brandon and Mary Grace, your story is not complete. Now it just gets told together. There's no longer the story of Brandon or the story of Mary Grace. It's now the story of Brandon and Mary Grace Gwynn. And we're all so excited to see what comes next. To Brandon and Mary Grace. Yeah.